it's best to assume that every single game that comes out will disappoint your expectations. The constant barrage of anti-consumer practices from people like Rockstar and EA never fails to put a frown on my face and never fails to keep my money in my pocket. You know, something I thought about today was that our imaginations often exceed what humans can create, and it isn't possible to give everyone what they want. And the point is, you will miss what Starfield is and instead focus on what you want it to be, therefore missing what the game is entirely. Hit the like button and subscribe if you want more Starfield content. Oh yeah, and follow me on Twitter. Now on one hand, you have the Sony ponies who screech and neigh out of their stable that Starfield is just going to be more of a modern day No Man's Sky, which further concludes that they have absolutely no business talking about gaming, because No Man's Sky has almost zero RPG systems, no set major cities, no ship customization, and no actual story. And from the information and Bethesda showcase alone, nobody should think that this is a No Man's Sky clone unless you are a blind and deaf moron, which is why I think some of the new Sony fanboys should collect disability, because they can't see or hear what's happening around them. You ponies have more salt than the Atlantic Ocean. Starfield being a space game is honestly all they have in common, but today we need to make sense of the 1,000 planets, and what I want to try and convey is, I understand the trepidation that goes along with it being empty and big for the sake of just being big, and that's something my girlfriend tells me all the time, only I don't lie like Todd Howard. But I'm really carrying 16 times the detail, but it's important to remember that it's a different scale entirely. It's a larger game, yes, but also no. It's a denser game extrapolated out of a galaxy. I don't expect every planet to contain world density of the lands in between like in Elden Ring. I don't, but I do expect it to feel like I'm in a giant void of space with pockets of amazingness in the areas that humans populate. See, old toddy boy Todd Howard said the game will have 1,000 planets and only 10% life. That's still around, what, 100 planets with unique alien life to explore. And if you're a fan of The Expanse, like I am, the more realistic, peculiar stuff is what gets my dick wet. That's right, and as much as we all love the whole fantasy side of our space operas, it's the perspective that one day this could be a semblance of our reality. It would be really cool and amazing to find old exploration rovers that were sent out decades or even centuries ago that could reveal what transpired among humanity, that caused us to have a split into separate hostile factions. Something that's always made Bethesda's open world special is that element of surprise, because they never really spell out the main story for any of their games leading up to release. Skyrim was the only one I think I can remember that gave the clearest picture of what's going on. You're a Dovahkiin, you're killing dragons, there's Nords and Khajiits. But think about the open worlds for a second, having any object you see on screen interactable, and every piece of armor on enemies being individually lootable adds such a great amount of immersion to an open world that no other game studio has. And one of the best parts about Skyrim easily was that all of the factions, each of the factions allowed so many role-playing opportunities. For example, you could be an assassin in the shadows, or a mighty warrior with companions, or a mage on the path to greatness to become the next Gandalf. Or how about a supporter of imperialism versus a supporter of independence? Each of them offering very different moment-to-moment player experience. I really hope they lean into that with the Crimson Fleet or any other factions this time round. Now, it's important to note that Starfield actually has 200,000 lines of dialogue with a silent protagonist. That is more than Skyrim and Fallout 4 combined. And the thing is, Fallout 4 has 2 voices for their protagonist, and Starfield still has more dialogue. And speaking of Fallout 4, the main story for Starfield is directed by Will Shen, who did Far Harbor, which was phenomenal. It was the one questline in Fallout 4 that I actually finished. See, Far Harbor took the same concept as Fallout 4 but executed it in a much better way. Your options are less cut and dry. They also gave you different ways to conclude Far Harbor based on what you did in the main game, which is always great. Look, I'm going to leave on this. I'm cautiously excited for Starfield, but we'll judge the game once it's released. Many people are looking for that next generation video game, but but what we're likely to see is an evolution of what they're already good at. Skyrim literally had game-breaking bugs at launch. You could not finish the story quests and yet it still achieved legend status. I fully expect Starfield to have 16 times the bugs and go legendary also. If the past decade has taught us anything, is that we're pretty used to being paid to play beta testers. Look, joking aside, barring any kind of catastrophic launch, I expect this to be everything we got in Skyrim and more. I mean, that's really all we want, isn't it? And by the way, can I just say, the whole base building thing has always been funny to me. I like the fact that there's someone out there trying to be as detailed as they want, even if it's just for themselves. Go send some poor NPCs to your barren wasteland moon so they can mine rocks for you. So then you can buy extra cargo on your ship. Go for it. It's weird, it's corny, but it also makes perfect sense. And on that bombshell, let me know in the comments, are you excited for Starfield? Is this really going to be Todd Howard's magnum opus where he rides into the sunset? Or will it be an unmitigated catastrophic disaster? Let me know. Manix out.